There's a reason why football's most infamous troublemakers, players like Pepe, Sergio Ramos, and Zlatan Ibrahimovic, have never won the Balon d'Or. Despite their undeniable talent and moments of brilliance, they're remembered just as much for their controversies, antics, and disciplinary issues as they are for their contributions on the pitch. Football's most prestigious individual prize demands more than skill. It demands class, discipline, and the ability to inspire. And the truth is, players who thrive on chaos and controversy are rarely, if ever, rewarded with such an honor. Take Zidane, for example. Up until that infamous headbutt on Marco Materazzi in the 2006 World Cup final, Zidane was widely regarded as the favorite to win that year's Balon d'Or. His performances in Germany had been nothing short of exceptional, and many believed he was set to cap his legendary career with one last accolade. But a single moment of indiscipline cost him everything, proof that the award has no room for players who let their emotions define them. And this is exactly where Vinicius Jr. comes in. For all his skill, speed, and flair, he has become his own worst enemy. Rather than letting his immense talent do the talking, he has chosen to be the protagonist of his own soap opera, a player whose reputation is built on antics, arrogance, and immaturity rather than true greatness. Now, let's get straight to the facts. Vinicius will never win the Balon d'Or, and here's why. Look at the list of recent past Balon d'Or winners: Messi, Modric, Kaká, Ronaldinho, and even Cristiano Ronaldo. What do they all have in common? They excelled with grace, class, and discipline, earning their accolades through consistency, hard work, and moments of sheer brilliance that transcended the game itself. Take Ronaldinho, for example, who was given a standing ovation at the Santiago Bernabeu in 2005 after humiliating Real Madrid with a legendary performance. That's the kind of respect and legacy that defines Balon d'Or winners. Can you picture Vinicius ever receiving such an ovation? Not when his legacy so far has been taunts, tantrums, and provocation. If he ever hopes to reach the heights of players like Ronaldinho or Modric, he'll have to do a lot of unlearning. The Balon d'Or is not just a trophy, it's a responsibility. It represents football at its very best and sets an example for future generations. The players who win it are not just the most talented, they are the most inspiring. And this is exactly where Vinicius falls short. From his early days in Brazil, controversy has followed him like a shadow. Remember 2018, when Botafogo banned Flamengo from using their stadium ahead of the Guanabara Cup final? The reason? Vinicius's behavior. After scoring against Botafogo, he taunted their fans with a crybaby gesture, fully aware of its significance to them. Even as a teenager, he was making headlines for all the wrong reasons. Fast forward to now, and little has changed. This season alone, Vinicius has picked up 6 yellow cards in his first 15 La Liga games, all for dissent or sheer indiscipline. His 2 career red cards at Real Madrid both came at Valencia's Mestalla Stadium for the exact same reason, losing his temper when things didn't go his way. And let's not forget his appalling international record. 5 goals in 5 years for Brazil is simply not good enough for a player of his supposed caliber. Perhaps this is where the truth lies. Vinicius's game thrives on chaos, something that South Americans are far too familiar with. Unlike in Spain, where his antics can rattle defenders and disrupt the flow of play, South American teams seem immune to his tricks. It's no wonder he has struggled to make an impact for Brazil. Even his fight against racism, while noble in theory, has been poorly handled. Vinicius has entangled himself in an issue far bigger than him, and his approach has done more harm than good. Engaging in public banter of words with the La Liga president, then later calling for La Liga's sponsors to boycott the league might grab headlines, but it's unrealistic and divisive. Racism in Spain is systemic, and solving it requires more than just impulsive demands. Instead of inspiring change, Vinicius has alienated himself, making it harder for his message to be taken seriously. I mean, when you have even top Spanish media stations and journalists bashing you to respect your opponents and stop playing the monkey instead of sympathizing with you, just a few hours after you have been racially abused on live TV, then you just know they must be tired of you and your theatrics. Apparently, even his own countrymen are now growing tired of him and his questionable game behaviors. Former Brazilian coach Vanderlei Luxemburgo agrees with many in the Spanish media to large extent that Vinicius Jr. provokes a lot of that persecution by doing things he shouldn't. And here's the most damning part. Vinicius's antics are starting to rob him of his game. It's almost as if he needs conflict to perform. If there's no drama, he fades into the background. Take the Spanish Super Cup final over the weekend as an example. With no fights to pick or taunts to throw, Vinicius had a quiet and ineffective evening. Is that really the mark of a future Balon d'Or contender? Compare him to players like Rodri or Luka Modric, calm, composed, and focused. These are players who elevate the game, not drag it into the mud. They are players who embody everything the Balon d'Or stands for: grace under pressure, respect for opponents, and a commitment to excellence. Vinicius, on the other hand, represents the opposite. Like I mentioned earlier, there's a reason players like Balotelli, Ramos, and Zlatan have never been serious contenders for the Balon d'Or. Despite their talent, they were too polarizing, too undisciplined, and too focused on themselves rather than the bigger picture. Right now, Vinicius is firmly in that category. The Balon d'Or isn't just about goals or assists. It's about legacy. It's about representing the very best of football and inspiring future generations. And until Vinicius Jr. learns to stop being his own worst enemy, he will remain a talented player with unrealized potential, never worthy of football's most prestigious prize. And maybe that's for the best. After all, the Balon d'Or isn't meant for players who thrive on chaos and controversy. It's meant for those who transcend it. And Vinicius Jr., as talented as he is, hasn't figured that out yet.